Okay, so we're talking domestic butler interview prep today. Pretty interesting stuff, and definitely not your average job interview. Luckily, we've got some great RoleCatcher resources to help us out. Career guides, interview guides, and even a glimpse into their AI tools.
It's going to be a really interesting deep dive. The modern butler is so much more than just what people think. It's a really fascinating blend of service etiquette and anticipating needs.
So more than just knowing how to make a good cuppa then.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's just jump right in with some of those interview questions. A really common one is, what inspired you to become a domestic butler? It seems pretty basic, I guess, but it's your chance to really show them that you're passionate about this work.
I see. So what are they really looking for with a question like that?
They want to see that you're not just in it for the money. Like if you were inspired by the service at a fancy hotel or you just love to create that really welcoming, organized atmosphere.
Yeah, I can see that sharing a personal story could really make you stand out. What are the key responsibilities of a domestic butler? That one seems pretty straightforward.
You'd think so, but it's a chance to show them that you've actually done your research. Instead of just listing a bunch of tasks, focus on that deeper understanding. Talk about things like household efficiency and anticipating those needs of the employer and guests. And of course, maintaining that high level of discretion.
Right. So you're showing them you get the big picture. You're not just there to dust and serve. You're keeping the whole show running smoothly.
Exactly. And that actually leads perfectly into some of the career insights from RoleCatcher. They highlight that a lot of times this role can lead to household management
Oh,
positions.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we bring that into the interview?
You want to highlight that you're interested in those long-term opportunities. You could say something like, I'm eager to develop skills in managing staff and finances. It shows them you're thinking ahead.
That's a great tip. It shows you're ambitious and ready to learn. And speaking of learning, RoleCatcher's AI tools can be super helpful here when it comes to tailoring your answers and practicing for these specific questions.
Totally. They're amazing. Their AI actually analyzes job descriptions to show you the skills they're really looking for. And it can even give feedback on your practice answers.
Wow. So it's like a personal coach in your pocket.
Uh,
All right, let's get back to those questions. Can you provide an example of a time when you had to deal with a difficult guest?
Hmm.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Don't panic. This is your time to shine. You want to show them that you can stay calm and professional under pressure. Think of a time when you really had to find a solution and address a guest's concerns.
Okay, so let's say a guest has a last-minute dietary request that wasn't on the menu.
Perfect. You could explain how you worked with the chef to make sure they had something they could eat and that they felt heard and cared for.
Right. It really shows off those problem-solving skills. What kind of follow-up questions do you think they might ask?
They might dig a little deeper into your thought process, like, what did you learn, or would you approach it differently next time? Being prepared for those follow-ups shows that you're self-aware and you want to improve.
Yeah, it's not just about having the answers. It's about showing that you're always learning.
Exactly. Now, this next one is super important for a domestic butler. How do you handle confidential information within a household?
I can see why discretion is key.
Absolutely. You have to emphasize that you understand privacy and confidentiality. Maybe talk about past experiences with NDAs or situations where you've protected sensitive information.
It's all about picking that trust.
Exactly. Okay, now let's try a more practical one. How do you manage your time and prioritize tasks in a busy household?
Ooh, good one.
Be specific and give real-world examples. Talk about using tools to stay organized and how you decide what's most important. Maybe even delegating some tasks.
Right, so you're showing you can handle a fast-paced environment. And a good follow-up would be, tell me about a time you had to reprioritize tasks. Because things change all the time, right?
Right. All the time. Think about a time when plans change suddenly. Maybe a dinner party was moved up or a delivery was delayed. How did you handle it? Did you stay calm and make sure everything still ran smoothly?
That's a great example.
Yeah.
Shows you can think on your feet. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really help. You can analyze the specific job description before the interview even happens.
Exactly. It's a game changer. It highlights those keywords and skills that this particular employer is looking for.
So you can tailor your answers to what they need. It's like having a secret weapon. Okay, let's look at another question.
All right, let's imagine they ask, how do you ensure a household runs smoothly and efficiently?
Oh, that's a good one.
This is where those organizational and management skills really come in.
Yeah, you're like the stage manager for the whole household. You're making sure everything runs without a hitch.
Haha, I like that. So you want to show them that you're proactive, like you're not just reacting to problems, you're preventing them. You could talk about how you manage inventory and keep communication flowing between staff.
Maybe even creating a whole household manual.
Exactly. Now let's throw in a curveball. How would you answer, can you provide an example of a time when you had to handle an emergency situation in a household?
Oh, those always make me nervous. What if I can't think of anything?
It's all about showing them you can stay calm under pressure. Just think of a time when you had to think on your feet and solve a problem.
Okay, so let's say a pipe bursts and there's water everywhere.
That's perfect. You could describe how you immediately shut off the water and then called a plumber and, of course, kept the employer informed the whole time.
Right, so you're assessing the situation, taking charge, and communicating clearly.
And it all ties back to that adaptability that RoleCatcher talks about. Being able to handle the unexpected is so important.
It seems like it's not just about the technical skills then. You need the right mindset, too.
Absolutely. Your personality and how you handle challenges are just as important as knowing how to iron a shirt perfectly.
Speaking of those personal touches, let's move on to guest experience. How would you answer, how do you ensure that you provide excellent service to guests and visitors to the household?
Ooh, this is your chance to shine. Talk about going above and beyond, anticipating needs, and creating a memorable experience for every guest.
Making them feel like royalty.
Exactly. You could mention personalizing things based on their preferences, or offering little amenities, or even just remembering small details like their favorite drink.
Those little things really make a difference.
They really do, and it all goes back to that social perceptiveness we talked about.
Being able to read the room and understand what each guest needs.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on, I want to circle back to those AI tools. How can they help us actually refine our answers?
RoleCatcher's AI is amazing for this. You can actually type in your practice answers, and it'll give you feedback based on the job description.
Whoa. Seriously. It's like a mock interview with an expert.
Pretty much. It analyzes everything. Keywords, clarity, even your tone of voice.
That's incredible.
Okay.
One last question we should cover is about long-term goals. How do you think we should approach where do you see yourself in 5 years in the context of this role?
This is where you connect your goals with the potential for growth within the role. Remember how we talked about moving into household management?
Yes. So we could talk about taking on more responsibility, maybe leading a team.
You could say something like, I'm really excited to grow my leadership skills and eventually manage a bigger team. I see this role as a step towards a career in household management.
Perfect. It shows ambition, but also that you understand the career path. You're painting a picture of your future in the household.
Now, there's one more question that often comes up, and it can be tricky. It's about salary expectations.
Oh, yeah. That one's always tough.
Don't worry, we'll give you some tips. Yeah, so with salary expectations, it's all about finding that balance. You want to be realistic about what you're worth, but also, understand their budget.
Right. So how do we find that sweet spot?
Well, first you should do some research. Look at typical salaries for domestic butlers in your area. Websites like RoleCatcher usually have that kind of data.
Okay, so we've got a general idea. Then what?
Instead of giving them one number, I would suggest giving a range. Like you could say, based on my experience and the responsibilities, I'm looking for a salary between X and Y.
That makes sense. You're giving them options, but still showing that you know your value. What if they push for a specific number, though?
You can just politely repeat your range. And you can emphasize that you're open to talking more depending on the whole package, benefits, paid time off, professional development, all that good stuff.
Right. It's not just about the money. It's about the whole deal.
Yeah.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to mention one more thing about RoleCatcher's AI. It's not just for analyzing job descriptions and tailoring answers. You can also use it to practice your delivery.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You can record yourself answering questions and get feedback. It'll tell you about your pacing and your tone and how clear you are.
Wow. It's like a personal speech coach.
It really is. So as we finish up this deep dive into the world of domestic butler interviews, just remember, preparation is key. Research the role, understand what they're looking for, practice your answers, and of course, use those amazing AI tools to your advantage.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from breaking down those common interview questions to really understanding this career path.
You've learned what it takes to succeed in this role. From the actual skills to those all-important soft skills like discretion and adaptability.
And that social perceptiveness we talked about.
It's not just about providing great service. It's about creating that seamless, luxurious experience where you anticipate every need.
Now go out there and ace that interview.
We know you'll do great.
And hey, maybe you'll even get to show off those silver polishing skills. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.